Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Good morning. There's a Bitcoin. A little bit of a bounce there again. I don't know. It's been a trap many times, although the cumulative delta is a little bit better on it. Let's minimize that. What's been going on in Treasuries? We do have ADP today. Oh, this goes down here, doesn't it? Okay. Well, we had a pretty good move down after we left yesterday, unfortunately. But, you know, we can't really trade that. Too late in the day. I think that the non-farms number has a probability of pushing us down. I mean, it's supposed to be a pretty good report. Supposed to be. Keyword. All right. Let's copy the stream link. Good morning. Looks like we already got people in Twitch, even though I haven't posted the link yet. That's good. I'm a little stuffy still. I got some gunk stuck up there. So pardon that. Okay, there it's dropping again. Oh, Bitcoin. That's crazy. You notice that 8,000 wasn't really a hard number, was it? Nobody tried to defend it. At least not in the futures. Let's look at crypto watch. Come on. Memo released today. 6 more weeks of winter for Democrats. Okay. Attorneys in Russia probe believe Mueller could indict Trump. I doubt it. Let's read. Believe that it's possible. They don't know of any specific plans, but their experience with the law leads them to believe the president could be indicted. Bullshit. Okay, so let me explain to you why Donald Trump isn't going to be indicted. Because it is a long-standing Department of Justice policy that you do not indict a sitting president. If they want to do something, what they will do is they will refer their findings back to the Department of Justice, and then the Department of Justice can choose to bring those findings to Congress. Congress can choose to impeach Donald Trump, and then, which at the moment is highly unlikely, and then you could have a trial. But Mueller is not going to indict Donald Trump. Highly unlikely. All right, let's see. We got we got a couple of people in here now. Oh yes. Okay, so the moment you're all waiting for, right? The number. Up, 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 45. Now that is curious. Oh, that is very interesting. Okay. The transaction volume yesterday was actually pretty significant. Like what is this? 20 thousands. $2.5 billion yesterday. $2.5 billion yesterday. You realize that with this tether FUD, I'm gonna call it FUD. I mean, it could totally be true. So don't get hung up over the fact that I'm calling it FUD. But this whole tether thing, it could totally be true, and they could totally be like completely fraudulent. And the market may have already priced it in just yesterday because that was $2 billion. I mean, that move yesterday could have been Tether has bought $2 billion worth of Bitcoin and they just dumped it all because people want their deposits. Like, that's a possibility. What do you guys think? We'll pull the chart up so you guys can see. So see, it's now ticked down to one of the lowest levels it's ever had. If we can zoom in here, you see that? It's not the lowest we've ever had. I think it has touched 40 before. But I think 7 to 8 is the place. There we go. For a little bit, Crypto Watch was not working at all. That's a little concerning. Yep, they're having problems. Very curious. Tether will get destroyed by hackers or law. Yeah, so let's talk about that. So, actually, no, let's not talk about that. Let's take a few bites of food before the ADP number, and then we'll talk about that. Just a moment. Okay, so here's the bounce in Bitcoin. And on Bitfinex, they did bounce right off of 8,000, which was our price level. Now, below that, there is 7.5. That would be 50% retracement. That's a pretty attractive number too. But my indicator said 8,000 around here, so. The reason I say this is they already suffered a hack. Exchanges are getting hit. Systems like these are just targets, a domino effect. Social Observer says, I am all in now. Okay, wow, that's a pretty strong vote of confidence. I would definitely have put in a buy order at 8,000 if my money at Coinbase had been confirmed, which it is not. Let's look here. It's still going to say pending. Yep. So here's what I think with Tether. I think the probability that these guys have been brazenly printing completely unbacked Tether while regulators are doing an investigation on them is extremely unlikely. That would be by far the most brazen thing we have ever seen in the history of scams, I guess. So I do believe that that is unlikely. However, one possibility is that they were using that money to buy cryptocurrencies, and that could potentially explain a lot of the movement that we've seen. Now, if that's true, though, it may also be the case that that was it. That Tether is already dead. It's just price just hasn't collapsed, but that its effect on markets has already occurred. Rubini says, Bitcoin is the biggest bubble in human history. Yes, but the bubble has already deflated. So now what? Curious, right? What's the number we're looking for on ADP? Okay, average hourly earnings 0.2 and non-farm employment 1.8. Okay. Scaled all my buys and I am surfing on top of the wave. Good job. I think you buy here. That's just me. Okay. The number was obviously good. Okay, 200 versus 180. That's obviously not going to happen. Average hourly earnings 2.9 versus 2.6 expected. Whoa! Oh my! Okay, what was it month over month? 0.3 versus 0.2. Well, there was a pretty great opportunity, but I just am never going to click that. No way. I've had that trade come back on me so many times before. Chew. Okay, well, this is not action that I feel comfortable trading, so I'm going to eat.
Alligator said it's just selling, caught only 0.30. Trade the traders said plus 15 on news.
Okay, well, it was another bloodbath in Bitcoin.
Alligator said 240 target.
One of the biggest moves we've ever seen.
Brent said plus 4 short, moving too fast, have to wait for it to slow down a little. Alligator said Rev L 235.
Watch this completely unwind. Whew. Pretty
Alligator
pretty
said
crazy
in the
action,
sphere
huh?
market shorts are very fast.
Yep.
Heath said crazy. Alligator said strong bounce F265. ETH said dang. Nice trading, Alligator. Alligator said thanks, I've made some tactical adjustments, works better. Alligator said back S270, but I'm not sure, could it come back to 300? Trade the Traders said long 0.255 to much short first business zone 120.305. Fran said ES trying to hold 2,800. Fran said wonder if we'll have a serious reversal if ES tanks today.
Well. So John's notes just came through, and he was saying a move to the downside. I would be looking to test the 145.15 area, followed by the 145 to 04, 145 even area. And where did we stop? 145.04. So we've already hit all of his targets, so that email is pretty much useless now. But good call, John. Cryptocurrency market dropped 400 billion, 50% in January. It's pretty crazy. Well, now that is an interesting question. Signs of inflation. I don't think that
Alligator said Rev L265.
I don't think that the E-mini is going to like it. That said, there's a okay risk reward looking to go higher. I don't know. It's going to be really tough to
Fran
say
said
until it
20 to
opens.
25 PT gap at the open.
Yeah.
Trade the traders said first out +5. Fran said going to wait until after the open to trade again. Fran said ramp down / ramp up too fast. Alligator said
Oh,
F290.
that's interesting. Average hourly earnings rose 2.9% because average work week hours declined from 34.5 to 34.3. Average weekly earnings declined to 2.6. So that's not nearly as positive as the number would indicate, does it? Is it? Okay, so it did pivot there.
Fran said AV work week, all employees 34.5 HRS 34.5 HRS 34.4 HRS to 34.5 HRS. Fran said, did they revise the report?
I don't know.
Trade the traders said second out +3. Fran said yes they did, just saw it.
Okay, so
Fran
they
said
revised it.
34.3.
Okay. People are working less. I don't know about this, guys. Just gonna sit on my hands. That's good for all you guys that are quick, though. You did very well, especially Trade the Traders having the guts to click on that down move and getting like 16 ticks out of that. So gotta be careful, because this is where even if I had gotten a good trade from
Alligator said back L275 seems strange, this message by Zero Hedge, can't find a confirmation.
Well, Fran is saying that she sees that the average work week hours is correct.
Fran said AV workweek, all employees 34.5 HRS 34.5 HRS 34.4 HRS to 34.5 HRS 34.3 HRS. Fran said revision just posted. Fran said Bloomberg. Alligator said thanks. Fran said it doesn't say.
It doesn't say. Okay. U.S. Fed's Kashkari says if wage growth continues, it could impact rates.
Fran said I guess it's just Jed's interpretation.
Well, E-mini is higher now. This right here is a pretty significant departure here. We've made a new high, and it's not even close to a new high in cumulative delta. So the word I like to use for that is suspicious. Very suspicious, I think. Oh yes, did you find where cumulative delta is in TradingView, or is there another Bitcoin chart with it? Okay, so yes, we need to look that up. So when we talked about this last time, everybody told me that it existed in TradingView, or at least that was my memory. And maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe they don't actually have it. And I was looking on my phone. I mean, I'm gonna pop in here and I'm gonna look, but I'm sure that I'm going to.
Alligator said looks like it's heading to 121, probably a decision there.
Yeah, but I'm probably going to come to the same conclusion that you are, right? So here's that accumulation distribution. I don't know what that one means though.
Alligator said ES also seems undecided.
And I don't see anything actually named cumulative delta in there. So I don't know about that. Maybe they don't actually have the historical bid-ask data, and therefore real-time volume. Yeah. Somebody asking for it on Get Satisfaction. Yeah, the search, it pops up in the top of the YouTube charts and search results now because we're all talking about it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I'm wrong. Or at least at the moment, I'm wrong. It's not in TradingView.
Delta at the bottom of this chart. CryptoWhat.ch.
Is it? Let's look. No, it's just volume. Unless, nah, it's not. There's no indicator for it on CryptoWatch, unfortunately. So what I think you guys are gonna have to do, if you want this data, is go to ninjatrader.com, put your email address in the little box that's on there, and then when it says, do you want futures data, say yes. And then let's find it on Futures.io. There's a cumulative delta indicator. There's also mine, but theirs is a little bit better. Mine is just simpler. NinjaTrader 8 indicators. There's one. There's the cams of volume profile. Okay, here we go. This is what you want. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Where are you guys? Yeah, NinjaTrader 8. You want to use NinjaTrader 8. It's available in NinjaTrader 7, but you'd have to go through all of the Gomi stuff. Can you see that link? Did it actually post it? Why is it like all weird colored on my screen here? That's a little weird. No, it didn't paste it. Come on. Why are you being like that? Here, I'm gonna post it in the stream channel. Okay, so I'm gonna update the video here.
Block cell.
Okay, so I updated the original video with a link there, and I put the link in the stream channel, and I did put the link here in our YouTube, but YouTube is, I guess, is blocking it or something like that. So go back to the original video and get the link that way. Yeah? Does that work for you guys? And if that doesn't work, you know, come back to me, of course. Because I really want you guys to be able all to use this, so I'll do whatever I got to do to help you guys set it up and make sure it works, okay? Bum, 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 ba-dum. Seems like a lot of sellers around the 290 to 285 area. Well, they're definitely building up some volume in there, and there was a iceberg there on the way down at 290. Was it 90 or was it, yeah, 90, 85, this area. Yeah, Sierra Charts is a package, another good package
Alligator
with
said
cumulative
scratch.
delta, and it's built in. It's not in the video description.
Alligator said I am going to wait for equities open.
Yeah, you might have to like hard refresh it, but it is there in the video now. And it is in the stream channel in Discord. They did take another step higher in Bitcoin. This looks like a... No, it's about the same as the last one, actually. This move up could still be a trap. What do the guys in the Bitcoin channel say? ACS.
Quantatron said looks like they match. Last 3 candles are exactly the same.
So KCS is seeing actually a pretty good move there, yeah. So basically what you're saying, Rackley, is that if I want to move my Bitcoin Cash into KU coin, I should be doing it right now, right? Well, maybe we'll buy some KU coin when our deposit confirms next week. But
Rackley 3 said yeah, but when you said previous 30M I wasn't sure which candlestick you were referring to, as there were 2 more minutes left at that time.
Alligator says he's also going to wait for the equities to open. Does not care about the memo, cares about coffee and making trading. At the right, there's been some buying here in the bond at 14. Now ZF has gone a little bit lower. At the moment, the cumulative delta seems to suggest lower again. Noriel Ribini thinks Bitcoin is the mother of all bubbles. Welcome to last month. Does it look like a trap in the futures data chart? So the futures are moving up slightly. So cumulative delta is a little bit up on this move up, but it's not super significant. So I'm going to say a slight edge long, but inconclusive. Okay. Buyers getting a little aggressive there. Look at that. Didn't notice it was this late already. Busy. So you've been probably trading the crap out of this, huh? With the KU coin. Yeah, this bounce that we're getting, let's see if it touches 9,000. I mean, one thing that I will point out, I wish I had noticed this sooner. Notice that yesterday on this move that we never got above the VWAP, but at the moment we are above the VWAP. So that may be an indicator that this bounce is a little better. Okay, well, I'm seeing some significant flattening going on here. We're at 9,000 in Binance. Yeah, so we're almost to 9,000 in the futures. And we're about the same on Bitfinex. I think Bitfinex is the best one to watch right now. One, because the primary driver of this move does appear to be Tether, and because Bitfinex has that connection to Tether, you would expect them to sell the hardest. Yeah. It also, Bitfinex seems to respond to the technical levels a lot more strongly, so it's a little bit of a better read there. Some people buying Neo. Yeah, this move looks a lot better than the head fake that we had last night. I'd still be cautious though. But if I had my money deposited, I would have just set my buy order at 8,000 and walked away. Well, it's been sitting in this spot in Treasuries for quite some time now. Neo gave the best bounce of the ones I bought. Let's look at mine. Okay, so the stuff that I own, Monero, or the past 24 hours, Monero did the best. And my Steam actually was the worst. Oh yes, on my watch list, Verge is doing pretty good over the past hour. KU coin, I wish I had my KU coin. Bitcoin has actually done the worst in the past hour. I don't know how I feel about that. Yeah, people are buying, but they're not buying Bitcoin, and I'm a little skeptical that we can sustain that one, you know? People are going to have to buy Bitcoin. Or Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum. But any other altcoin, it doesn't help us move up. Oh yeah, and what is my portfolio value at? So it was around 500. Right now it's 477. Okay. That's okay. Well, that iceberg at 26.5 is pretty stubborn. Oh, and they just took it like it was nothing. Hmm. Not necessarily what I want to see. Yep, which is why I bought yesterday with Fiat. Yeah, okay. Oh, social observers thing. I've been waiting for an hour and a half so my Bitcoins arrive in my Binance account. Well, it could take a really long time, right? Why I say if you're gonna do a transfer, use Bitcoin Cash. 0 confirmations. Not quite sure what to think here. Okay. I wish I had done it with Bitcoin Cash. Well, I don't know what the transaction pool looks like right now, how long it takes, how much of a fee gets put on those transactions too is a important question. Nope. Well, ZF and ZB are ticking lower, aren't they? ZB in particular is really starting to tick lower. AM, could you please explain what you're seeing when you take trades if possible? Okay, so the first thing is I want to make sure that my risk reward is reasonable. So I usually look at it as like what is 4 ticks behind me and what is 4 to 8 ticks in front of me. So we were 4 ticks away from 1 tick below the low, which is good. If we were like at 24, I wouldn't be taking it. So that's the first thing, is the trade location. And then I'm looking at the number of bids and the number of offers. And the reason why I took this one was because they had broken through a significant iceberg and then they started putting up some big offers. Now, of course, since they did that, they have not really decided to push much harder from where I got in at, but we're still okay because there was an iceberg here at 25.5 and the buyers don't seem to be too anxious right now. Let me get out though. Okay, so there you go. So now they put the 2000 on top of it and people started taking the next one below that. That's exactly what I want to see. So if I hadn't have been in and that was a good trade location, I might have sold 24.5. You can see there's a lot of people taking profits, so it's kind of not going. But look at that iceberg there. Wow, and 4,000 put stacked on for a moment. I think there's a good chance that we're going to hit our target. I hope that makes sense. I don't feel like I can necessarily do justice to the signals. If you really, really want to learn level 2 signals like this, I recommend that you go and buy the basic course from No BS Day Trading. He's a much better trader than myself, so I don't like that we had 6,000 trade there and it ticked up. I don't like that at all. But he's a much better trader than me, and I really can't do it justice. Okay, so we did get filled. Okay. I mean, there's still a probability that it's going to come down, but I kind of feel like we had a really good short signal there. It went 2 ticks, and then it immediately stopped. That's a trade that's not working, because that was probably the best thing that could have possibly have happened, and it didn't move any further. Yeah, but you can choose. He's saying fees in blockchain appear to be 48.123 Satashis per byte. But I'm saying, like, the exchange, doesn't the exchange that you sent it from determine what fee they send? So you would have to go and hopefully they should give you like the transaction I forget what the number for your transaction, and you could look it up in a block explorer, and then you could kind of try and figure out where in the queue you are. I have both of his, but I find your explanations are better. No offense to John. Also, are you looking at the inside bid and offer? Well, so first of all, thank you. You're too kind. I just that may or may not be true, but I just want to be clear. I do think that John Grady is like 100 times better trader. But yeah, so I'm primarily looking at the inside bid and offer, and I think more importantly, what I want to see is when we tick up or tick down, how does the inside bid and offer respond to it? You know, if we tick up and the inside bid is immediately 2,000, that's a pretty good sign. Yeah, see that? We tick up, it's only 900. They could maybe try and push it back down. Right, so now we see how they respond. Yeah, so they push it back down. They're putting up 15. So it's you know, I would say that 1,000 to 1,500 is fairly balanced. But once you get over 2,000, and especially when you get over 3,000 and 4,000, that's like there's a lot of buyers that want to get filled and aren't getting it. The way I think about it is just like this. There's a guy here, right? And he wants to buy.
Alligator said playing a bounce on S2. Don't believe in 2B though.
That's where the momentum is right now. I only like to short below the VWAP, but the momentum is long. So maybe we could take a long here. If you wanted to go long, where would you put your order right now? Well, probably the easiest place for you to get filled is 25.5. So you can notice not a whole lot of people are going to buy 26 because they think they can get filled at 25 halves. But once you get over 2,000 people in the queue, then your calculus kind of changes, right? Then you're kind of like, well, I might get filled and I might not. And if I'm really anxious, maybe I should just buy 26. And meanwhile, the guy that's selling is kind of saying, well, there's not a whole lot there to hold it back now. Maybe I should pull my order. And so it's kind of that combination of the sellers getting anxious and the buyers not getting filled that causes them to spill over and take out 26 even. Okay, so here now almost 2,000, but they weren't quite able to put up enough. Okay, there it goes. You see it flip. They're getting a pretty decent bounce here, even though in overall cumulative delta is still down. Are we getting, is the spread coming back on us? Spread actually hasn't changed that much since the news. That's kind of interesting. And look at this. Look at this thing right here. But we did flatten on the higher end. And on the shorter end, what happened? The short end, we actually steepened on the short end again, which I think is really curious. I'm not quite sure what that means. So usually they both go the same way. But at the moment, it seems like the pressure is largely on the 10-year. But that's important to watch because notice here in the cumulative delta in ZB, we've pretty much recovered the whole move. And here in ZN, we're actually at the low of the day, even though we're kind of recovering. So why is that? Well, a lot of people have decided that they're going to take a flatten trade today. And so you're going to see the sell volume is going to be more aggressive here, and the buy volume is going to be more aggressive here. And that was going to skew our readings of the cumulative delta. And it's also going to skew the numbers that we see in here. So we have to keep that in mind. Right? Like seeing this 3784. You might be sitting here thinking that's a lot of sell orders. But a lot of those are also going to be spread traders. Now, interesting that somebody has decided to put an iceberg there and try and hold it. No. What does IB mean? Oh, somebody asked me a question I missed. So is cumulative delta market buys minus market sells, or is it all open longs minus open shorts? That's a good question. So it is market buys minus market sells. Yes. And is it all open longs versus open shorts? Well, that question doesn't really make sense because in order to have a buyer, you have to have a seller. So when you look at all of the orders and you combine them together for the whole contract, the number of buy long contracts is equal to the number of short contracts. If that wasn't so, the math, especially in a cash settled cert future, the math wouldn't work out because, you know, where does the exchange get the money from to pay the people that won? That I'm making sense. So it's equal, but one thing that you do see though is here's the thing. All of those could be equal, but there could be somebody that is accumulating all of the longs. So like maybe there's one guy that's long and there's like 10 guys that are short, right? Or maybe it's all of the institutional guys are long and all of the retail local guys are short. And that's kind of what the what is this called now?
Buy.
Ooh my, look at that. I'm just going to stay away from this as it's going up. So that's what open interest reports try to tell us. So they try and tell us if there's some, even though the number of orders are going to be the same, that they can tell us if there's some sort of imbalance in the type of players that are playing that. So like in Bitcoin, we found out that when we looked at the open interest reports, we found that the institutional accounts were vastly short. For the most part, we're almost all completely short. And that tells us something, right? Look out. Is 260 classes? Oh, well, was what we were seeing at 260 classed as an iceberg? So I don't remember what we were seeing there, but I think you probably would. The thing that I look for more than that is when orders go through and the level 2 doesn't change at all. Because you could have a situation where guys start buying and locals are like, oh, you know, actually this is a really good place for me to just get out. I can get filled here easily. And so we might see a lot more trade than 683. But if you only see 900 on the offer and like 3,000 go through and it pretty much stays 900 the whole time, that's an iceberg. And the reason is, and I think this is the key thing to know about icebergs, icebergs are a feature of the exchange. Okay, so the way that the exchange does it is it says you say always show 200, and so if it sells 200, then the exchange automatically, before anything else happens, automatically puts 200 more on there. And so you will never see the level 2 change, right? Like if I was doing a synthetic iceberg, like I said, okay, I'll have my platform just add more orders so that it's always 200. If that was the case, then what would happen is when they sell it, the exchange would see that, would reduce it from the offer, right? And then your machine would see that and would add more, and then it would go back up, and so you'd see the number kind of flicker. But because it's a feature of the exchange, all of that stuff happens in the background and the number doesn't change. So that's the best way to identify that it's a true iceberg. Math, SAF math, how long can we use NinjaTrader without paying? Okay, so the way that it works with NinjaTrader, you can actually use NinjaTrader indefinitely with their like free trial version, although there's some limitations on things that it can do when it's in that mode.
Quantatron said Fun correct. Market transactions.
Like you can't actually send live orders with the demo version of NinjaTrader, but you just want to see the Bitcoin futures, so that's not a problem for you. The data, however, is only good for 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks, what you could do is just go and make a new email address and make a new one. Now, if you're like me, and you've done this like 20 trillion times.
Quantatron said open positions check out Datamish.
Let's move that back to the bond channel. If you're like me and you've done that like a trillion times, then at some point they catch on and they actually start banning your address somehow. But you can go on for quite some time using just demos. Your next two options are, one, you can have a top step trader combine and, you know, pay the $100 or whatever it is a month to do a combine. And your last option, and what I'm doing right now, is I just have a very, very small account on AMP futures. So minimum deposit is $500. You just put $500 on there, and then you can, you know, you just get data indefinitely. And I think that they take out like $10 a month, something like that. So that's your options on data. Now, Sierra chart depends. So if you do the AMP futures thing, you get the basic version of AMP futures for free. And I believe that Keith, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that includes cumulative delta. And then if you want to pay for the paid version, it's like $30 a month or something like that. Yeah. I think that was thorough. Okay, so see, that was an iceberg. And I think I want to join that iceberg, in fact. I didn't like that tick back there, because when it ticked back, it was a lot stronger and it was bigger than the 25 half. Yeah, let's get out of that one, scratch it. So that puts us flat on the day, right? Well, that's not right. No. That's really weird. I mean, I've taken 2 trades today, right? And it doesn't show them to me in the profit loss. Let's close that and reopen it and see if that fixes it. Okay, there's the orders. There we go. That's better. Well, the E-mini has not done a thing.
Omgfun said don't see a way to get the data from CME on TradingView.
Oh, so on TradingView, granted, there's the whole issue that I guess we can't find cumulative delta on TradingView, and maybe I was wrong that it's not in there. But on TradingView, I believe that first when you're searching, make sure that the tab is on futures, and then BTC is going to be the CME one, and I believe the CBOE one is called XBT. Starts with an X. I remember that. I will demonstrate here for you. Thanks. Let's do 30-minute bars. I think that'll be a little bit better. Auto scale. There we go. Perfect. Okay. And then we can compare it to XBT. Oops. Futures. Oh. Oh, I guess it's a BG. It's a BG on TradingView. Oh, really? Do we only get it like on a daily basis, that one? Ah, lame. See, this is why you know, I would just use the CME ones. It's most people aren't going to get CBOE data. In fact, if you like get a NinjaTrader demo, you're going to be getting the CME one, not the CBOE one. So there's that. Yeah, see, to be able to do cumulative delta, you need to know what the bid and ask were at the time, so that when you see an order and the order is at 27, you can say, okay, well, was 27 the bid or the ask? 27 was the ask, so we know that that's a buy. That's how they do it. If the data that you get doesn't have historical bid ask, then you can't calculate it. Instead, you can do up bar, down bar. So you can say this bar was you know, green, blue in my case, but it was an up bar. So we take all of the volume in that bar and we add it. And then this bar was a down bar, so we take all of the volume and we subtract it. And you can get a cumulative delta that way. But it's, you know, it's a slightly different thing, so. Still useful, but. Has the memo been released yet? Let's check that out. Not yet, although the Donald Trump supporters are like super pumped right now. Okay, well, this is a hard read. I kind of suspect down at the moment, but it's been so slow here, so that was a good tick down. It's hard to say if it's actually going to go. Well, the memo is BS. I think that the memo is probably not going to be as significant as we've been led to believe. So I think there's definitely going to be a lot of controversial things in there. I think that there's definitely going to be things that are going to hurt Democrats and the whole Russia narrative. But there's also going to be counter facts. And so I think the end result is going to be that we need to investigate this more and not necessarily people being put in jail like some Republicans were saying. Yeah. But I think you have to say that there is definitely something significant in there. These people wouldn't be putting up such a stink about whether or not it should go out if that was not the case. I mean, you can't say, either the memo is significant or it's not. It's going to, it's something that the public wants to read and will have an impact on its opinion or not. And if you're saying it's all fake, then you shouldn't care if they release it. So there's definitely something in there. And I suspect that the claim is going to be that the dossier that was unverified at the time was primarily used for these FISA requests, and that the Obama administration abused their power a little bit to basically spy on a campaign opponent. I think that's what it's going to say. It's just going to be more corroborating evidence of things that Devin Nunes has been saying for half a year now. Is his name Devin? I forget. Anyways. Well, I think that we could take this now. Because these things have real life impacts. Yeah, but you're saying that basically what you're saying there is we shouldn't release it because we can't trust the American public to make a sound decision based off of this information. And I just don't agree with that. Oh, not filled. Oh no, I'm not saying it shouldn't or can't be released. You just think it's much ado about nothing, but people will run with it. Well, yeah, probably what will happen is Republicans will be really outraged. They'll probably start some new investigations, and then it'll kind of be like everything else. It's like, oh, there's an investigation, but like what really ever comes out of it, it certainly doesn't end up seeming significant to anybody. Except for maybe like the one person that ends up taking a fall because of it. American politics is too intense nowadays. I agree with that. I feel like that kind of what happened was the Democrats have been, since the George Bush years, in this kind of like unhinged, the opposition or monsters mode for such a long time. And when Donald Trump came along, he basically introduced that strategy to Republicans. So now you get it both sides 24/7. This, the country is about to end nonsense. Yeah. And it's a little bit much sometimes. And there's a lot of propaganda out there, really, from both sides. Um, and one of the purposes of modern day propaganda is to exhaust your logical thinking, to get you to stop caring because there's just too much information for you to really know what is true and what is not. Very unfortunate setup. Yeah. Well, I think I missed the trade. Oh, so that's not quite the low of the day, is it? Yeah. 23 is the low of the day. Democrats are unhinged. They just give Republicans whatever they want and are paid to do so. Both parties get paid by the same people / groups. Well, what they say and what they do are two separate things, though, right? When you go on the news, it's all, this is incredibly reckless and unprecedented, and the president is a Russian agent, and so is Devin Nunes and anybody else that wants this thing to be put out. But then behind the scenes, they just kind of, yeah, you're right, they just kind of flop over. Although in the Democrats' case, I've always kind of felt like that there are many instances, where where Republicans will kind of play all tough and then just flop over. It seems like the only time that they ever really had backbone was with the healthcare thing. Yeah, but the Democrat side, on the other hand, I think that the Democrats really want to push it. Or I mean, I think that the Democrats are really trying hard to be tough and everything, but they're just incompetent. That's kind of the whole feeling that I'm always getting. It was like this shutdown fight. Like they fought hard, didn't they? And then what happened? Oh, this was a really dumb idea. Maybe we should back off of this. And they gave up the first chance that they were given.
Block cell.
Ouch. Well, I'm very sad right now that I didn't get filled and that I didn't just decide to click in when it wasn't happening. The potential for a momentum, I cried and laughed at the same time. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with the Democrat Party right now. They just, I think that they've relied on the propaganda for so long that they're just no longer in their right mind. Like their base is no longer in their right mind, and the leadership just doesn't know what to do about it. You know, candidates for Congress have to pledge allegiance to Israel freaking Zog like most of the Western world. Oh, okay, if you say so. That's an interesting theory. Can you prove that? Where does it say that? Oh, there's a new low. They didn't necessarily have to load up to push it to a new low either, did they? Well, I'm not so sure that I want to just sell 23 here. So we just kind of have to wait it out. It's okay as long as we're not losing money, right? Well, Seth, look at his username. Oh yeah, it's Justice for Germans. Yeah. Oh, your trading view alarm didn't go off and you missed $100 Litecoin. That's how low it got, huh? Do we have news coming up here? Because that looks like a poll. We do. We have consumer sentiment, inflation expectations. E-mini did go lower, by the way. Not a ton, though. That's what I get for staying up 48 hours. Did you really stay up 48 hours just looking at a chart, though? I hope. Pick up Cynthia McKinney on the subject. Okay, let's put this in our notes. Man, Monstar. I mean, it has been riveting, hasn't it? Okay. Okay, consumer sentiment was a 95.7 versus expected 95. Factory orders 1.7 versus 1.5. Nope. See if this offer firms up. Yes, it does. Oh, come on. Boo. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Consumers continue to expect growth in jobs and incomes, but anticipated a slightly higher inflation rate. Well, that's some significant buying there in the 5-year. Not getting too far, though, is it? No. Okay. I need to stop for a bit. Thinking of adding more Neo after all-time high breakout. Is it really an all-time high? Where are we at on the Bitcoin chart, by the way? Kind of range in there. Don't like that. It should just keep going. Well, it did go lower. God. Yeah. I think I think that what happened on that one was more that the buyers pushed it up a tick or two and then just kind of disappeared, and it may have just been a bull trap. I screwed up. I should have just let that one, it was only 1 or 2 ticks against me. I should have just held it. That was a big mistake, guys. So the signal that I got out on, I mean, yeah, it was a get out signal, but it wasn't strong enough to get out, let alone reverse. If I was still in this trade, I would be looking to see if I could get 145 even in ZB. Just because that's where all of the size is at right now, you know? Either that or I would have just taken 4 ticks. So I would have taken 23. No, it's absolutely fine. Someone has to explain to me though on this Neo thing. So what is the advantage of Neo versus Ethereum? Other than that Neo is going up right now. Is this one I had a long at 25 and I should have kept that one. And then this one I probably shouldn't have taken in the first place, but then I panicked. I think I'm just probably a little bit tilted because we had that strong move down and I, could have taken a short almost anywhere in there and would have made enough to keep me happy for the day. And that's one interesting one that always kind of messes me up is they bought through it and they put up 2,000 and then they immediately sold it back down. What I would love to see is a iceberg on the offer. If I saw an iceberg on the offer right here, I would probably take it. It does look like it is a little overextended, not much volume supporting the run up in price on the MACD. I'm assuming he's talking about Bitcoin. Well, I mean, we're still above the VWAP. So this could just be range for a little bit, and then we could have another measured move up. That would be really nice. But how many times now have we seen this and they just cut us down? So, oh, he's talking about Neo Bitcoin. Okay. The one thing I really hate Ethereum for, which Neo solved, is no gas price / GUI speed. Well, I thought you still had to pay gas for Neo. It's just that you got paid gas every time that it. Is that not how it works?
Block buy.
Wow. Gas is for running the apps, but not for fees, right? I thought, isn't that kind of the same thing though? Unless you're saying you don't pay gas for simple transfers. Okay. Sounds like that's what he's saying. You don't pay gas for transfers in Neo. Okay, what's your crazy theory on what really pumped the price of Bitcoin? Are we talking about like long before? Oh, the Bitcoin / crypto market cap. Well, I think that there was probably a combination of things, right? The free airdrops. So I'm not too familiar with the airdrops. I think one of the things that really made us overextend was the forks, right? Because people were not really that into Bitcoin until they announced forks. And then they announced futures, and then it was really ridiculous. Okay, so here's an iceberg. But they plowed through that one pretty easily. Yeah, same thing. Yeah, I do think that the forks had a lot to do with it for sure. And there was also some pretty rich guys that before all of that put some money in. Yeah, constricting supply, pumping price. Yeah, because everybody wanted to get back into Bitcoin and they couldn't get in because everybody was holding. Crap. Wow, even after it ticked up that one, it still never get filled. I don't know if that fill at 24 was legit. And now I think it would have been filled. Yeah, for sure now because it cleared. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Well, there's some definite two-way trade here, but I think that the sellers are being slightly more, well, okay, not that time. So buyers put up 12. Ah. So that was a really bad tick for us. Looks like the ZB is maybe what's pushing us here. Okay, well, that was a little better. It seems like whenever they have a really strong victory, when they really put the bid up and whatnot, that today that's where it stops. Is a little unusual, so I guess that just means that we're actually in kind of more rangy, trying to trick you out action. Wow, 4,000. 3,000. Not quite sure what to make of all of that. You guys have any good reading material on profit taking strategies, because I really need to improve on that. You know what? If you find something really good, please go and put it in the education channel, because I think that that's something that almost everybody in our Discord struggles with sometimes. Knowing when it's going to stop. Okay, well, I think that the buyers tried a little bit too hard there. Like, why would you be putting buy icebergs and trying to defend price there? Why not just let it come down and make a higher low and hold it down there? Am I crazy? We are a little bit the movement is so much in the ZN chart that our VWAP bounds are broken, which has never happened before. Even if I refresh it, I'm sure that it'll still say the same thing. So it's not a mistake. Okay. That's the first time that 24 has gotten under like 2,000. So got through that pretty quick. And then gonna put up more. Come on. This crypto market just makes oneself too greedy. Well, I'm a little concerned because last night, it really seemed like everybody was getting pretty depressed, capitulation. I was starting to hear talk of it's just over, and we might not have movement in cryptocurrencies again for a long, long time. But now today we come back in and you're all buying it. So we'll see. I still think that 8,000 is you can't really get much further than 8,000. Maybe you could push it to 500 just for technical reasons, but beyond that, I really don't see how they sustain this selling below this without having a significant pullback. It's kind of the opposite here in the note. Here in the note, has so much momentum, and there's not really anything below us to stop us, and it's pretty much a trend day, and I think that this could just continue going down all day. Well, there's been some big icebergs at 24 there now several times. And they just don't put anything up. What's with that? I feel like people were in denial that it was going to go to 8K, and then when it was looking like it was going to happen, they were begging for it so that they could buy the dip. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. So I don't think that means I'm not saying that that's an indication that we're going to go lower. I do think that it's an indication that if 8,000 is the low and we have another move up, I think that because of that, we are extremely likely to go back into bubble territory again quickly. Yeah. This would be the lower high scenario I keep bringing up. That's why I believe that there's a possibility of a lower high, is that there's too many people trying to play the dip now. I think it's really a bear market like 2013. Well, so if it's a bear market like 2013, then it's just gonna keep going. And then it's gonna be dead, and it's not gonna go much of anywhere for quite a long time. Yeah, another dead cat bounce to previous high and then down for a long time. Yeah, exactly. Except for I don't think that it's gonna make the new high. I think it's gonna come just short of it. And the problem is that because some people are saying, oh, this is like the Mount Gox crash, this is the bottom, and now we're done. And I say no. One, because there's too many people trying to buy the dip, and two, because we just didn't move far enough, and there's too much value in the coin for us to go much lower than this. That's why it must of necessity, in order to really complete what it needs to do, it must of necessity have a push towards the all-time high and fail. Monster, I'm probably in denial, but I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah. Well, what we're saying is very, very speculative, right? if I'm really able to predict the price that well, that far in advance, that'll be something. Because that's like calling almost the major pivots for like almost the whole year, if I'm right. And if I'm right, I better be rich by the end of it. Yeah, no, wait, these tulips are only worth 50 cents. Okay, so we've touched 23 now several times. Stop the comparison to tulips. Well, I don't think that it's comparable to tulips. Because I really don't understand why tulips have value. I know that they grow a lot of tulips in the Netherlands, and I really have no clue what they do with them all. But I don't see a whole lot of intrinsic value in tulips. But I do see a considerable amount of intrinsic value in the ability to make transactions. The problem that I have is that the ability to make a transaction is something that I think should have pretty stable value, and the value of Bitcoin is not stable. Finally. Come on, firm up. Crypto only dies if you lose your password keys. And the next generation bag holders are people who never had cryptocurrencies before. Yeah. Well, it does seem to me like the majority of the people that I see posting on Reddit were not involved in the pre-Mt. Gox thing. When do we stop with the it's in its infancy argument for the price volatility, also known as price discovery? Well, yeah, I don't think that the volatility in Bitcoin is because it's new. I think that the way that the markets and the exchanges are set up right now, it was done by people that don't necessarily have a lot of experience in these sorts of things, and they've made some decisions that exacerbate the volatility. And that has led to a culture where there's a lot of people day trading it, and so you don't get a lot of two-way trade. I mean, look at this in the note, okay? How much volume has gone through here just at 24? Like, a bunch of people have bought it. There's been icebergs of 5,000 contracts several times now. I mean, there's been a lot of volume selling here at 24, and the cumulative delta is almost flat. So there's been two-way trade at 24. When have you ever seen that in Bitcoin? Never. It is always completely one way. It's like when it's going up, you are not going to get filled with a limit buy. And when it's going down, you are not going to get filled with a limit sell. And so it turns Bitcoin into this volatility vehicle, when in reality, if the market was mature and the exchanges were set up right and people understood the value of Bitcoin correctly, it really shouldn't move very much at all. And this is why I've been doing all the things that I've been doing. Like, I could have just had this indicator and just said, okay, this looks like a pretty good edge and I don't want to lose it, and I'm just going to keep it to myself. But I felt like that it benefits everybody, and it benefits me if I'm going to, buy this at some point, for people to understand why it has value. Because it seems like a pretty good portion of the market doesn't know. They understand speculation, but they don't understand value. Stephen Prayar. So if you go to, he asked, do you have opinions on changes that the exchanges could be made in that regard? If you go on to my Steemit, so, steemit.com/user/speculator-Seth, I wrote an article where I give a couple of suggestions on how the exchanges can reduce the volatility and increase liquidity. But the short answer is basically make the exchange like the 10-year note, which means you want to have a extremely high tick value. You want to have all of the tools that encourage really big people to get into markets. So you want iceberg orders and all of these things. Stop allowing people to buy like at every cent. Limit them to the dollar, or limit them, frankly, in Bitcoin right now, maybe it's every $10. So that instead of there only being like, $20 at some price levels on the order book right now in Bitcoin, there's like 10 Bitcoins at every price level. Yeah. Now you have a thick instrument, and it will take time to eat through even one price level, which means that traders, people like me, can make money off of just trading it one tick. And that then it gives people an incentive to go against the momentum, right? Because I already took the trade short, and now I'm getting out for one tick. And so now you see a lot more volume going off at each price, and that just, it becomes thick, and it is a much more reliable profit. Yes, people won't make as much on the speculative side. They'll make more day trading it, but price will also be stable, and it will rise over time as the value of the network goes up. And so long-term holders will still be able to make a ton of money just without all the volatility. That's what I think needs to happen. In addition to just people in the market just being better educated. But I don't know how you do that other than what we're doing right now. Yeah, thanks. Let's see. Can I actually find that? There you go. There's the link. It doesn't exist. Did YouTube not copy it correctly? Yeah, they didn't. Why did it add all that junk at the end? There's some junk at the end of that URL that you just have to delete. There, that new link works. I fixed it. Well, how long have we been in this trade for now? Fetch, where did there? Almost 30 minutes now. Oh, why did it reset? Come on. Level 2 is perking up a little bit. Yeah, there was junk at the end of the URL that got copied in for some reason. I don't know what the deal was with that. I'll delete this one. And second link, when I click on it, it works. It seems like they're still completely willing to sell 24.5 though. Really? That's weird. There, YouTube must be my copy and paste, and YouTube must be inserting a hidden character or something in there that's screwing it up. Fudge. Yeah. That was the strongest tick up we've seen in a long time. That firmed up to 4,000 very quickly. Yep, click the link, delete the last letter, retype the last letter, and then it works. Weird. Well, this action really sucks. Maybe I need to rethink how cautious I am after really quick news moves. Because I could have picked out a couple of good trades in there, and I was just way too cautious. And now I'm sitting here begging for scraps and not getting much of anywhere with it. I think CB might want to take a nosedive here. Hmm. Look at that 115. I'm worried that they're gonna stop me out and then flip it. $115 looks awfully suspicious. It's Charlie. Wow. Sell wall at 133 on GDAX, but Charlie is already out. I'm gonna go buy resistance, guys. Hold my beer. Well, if they push through a sell wall that big, that's certainly something in it. Wow. Look, they took that 3100 at 115 all at once. A very aggressive take. And they're iceberging at 12. It ticked up. Zen didn't tick up. I won't have to pay any trading taxes this year, but I'm concerned that if I take some profits this year that there's going to be awfully ugly. There's ZB. I think that ZB wants 145 even, guys. Oof. It did tick up. Oh, he was joking. Okay, but my understanding is that like every time that you sell into cash, that can be a taxable trading event, right? So like, I could see, especially some of these guys like Rackley that like scalp like crazy. You know, that could get pretty messy after a while because the exchanges don't really have the you know, the stuff set up really very well for you yet to do your taxes. Come on, get out of here. Okay, they took it. GDAX sent out the wrong 1099, showing 3 times more gains than actual. Whoa. Interesting. Better double check them, Stone, shouldn't we? Wow, now they're really pushing it, huh? Well, I pushed my luck on this one way too much. It's time to be taken out. Yeah. It's pretty bad. Another bad day. On that one trade. I think that after I've been in a trade for 30 minutes, that I need to just exit it. If it's not profitable. Because I don't think I've ever had one where I was not profitable for 30 minutes and then it actually went. We close out the day here for Bitcoin. It's at Dragonfly Doji. Well, we did take a step higher, didn't we? Yeah. Hmm. Thailand is crypto heaven now, huh? Why is that? Master Else just subscribed, saw your post on the Sia Coin trading subreddit. Which one was it? The one where I said that the only reason price is so high is because people can't move their wallets in GDAX? Whoa, what's going on here? Or was it the one where I said, you know, that now is the time to start buying Sia Coin again? So what you're looking at is a really awful bad day for me in the 10-year Treasury note futures. Yeah, I haven't been doing so well today. I must be honest. And this is the DOM, and these are people, these are limit buy orders, and these are limit sell orders, and these are the orders that market orders that have actually gone through and hit them. Alphabet founder was caught here, by the way. What does that mean? So was there a piece of news that came out there? That was awfully volatile there for a minute. Oh, is the memo out? Oh, not yet. The memo is not out yet. Tough new Treasury sanctions today on those who are funding Hezbollah's terrorism. We will no longer allow corrupt Hezbollah and other Iranian regime cronies to hide their crimes behind front companies. And there's a link to the Treasury page. That could maybe be. Okay, so he saw the one about how it's a good time to buy. Yeah, well, the unfortunate thing about the Coin one was I was like, okay, I'm like, this is about the time that it is to buy, and I said that, and like, I have my next deposit going into Coinbase. I put it in yesterday. You know, I put it in on the 1st of the month, so I wouldn't be able to buy anything until next week. And I was like, okay, so now here's a good time to buy a Coin because I sold mine. Well, not all of it, but I sold like a third of it. I want to buy it back. And it's like, was I too early or was I too late? Because I posted that and then we took another huge move lower. But now, by the time that I'm actually able to buy some Coin with it, will I be able to? Will price be significantly higher, you know? I hope not. I hope it just stays here for a week. That's what I would like to see, is I would like to see price just kind of range here for a week and then a strong buy come in, you know, around Valentine's Day. There's no crypto tax in Thailand. The exchange prices are below GDAXs and there's easy regulation / money flow out. I see. Well, we're going to see a 10K here at 25.5. Where does my freaking... This, like, disappears. I'm not closing it and it disappears. Yeah, haha, that's unfortunate. Yeah. Any other coin you're looking at besides SIA? So I think the one that I'll link the SIA coin one. Maybe Master can find it for you while I chat. But the other one that I'm looking at is KU coin, because I do have some stuff on the KU coin exchange. So I think what I will do is I will buy some more Bitcoin Cash and just use the Bitcoin Cash that I already have on that exchange and move it into KU coin. What are some other ones that I'm looking at? I was a big fan of Ryblox before it like took off. Now that it's coming back down, I may consider that one depending on what the price is. There's also just some absolute crap coins that are dramatically oversold. So like what is it? What is it called? I know the symbol, but I forget what it's actually called. So Verge is one. Verge is one that I've mined quite a bit of, but it's only like actually $10 worth of it. Zcash, a NEM. So I don't know anything about NEM, but that one also looks dramatically oversold. And for something like really, really speculative, I've got Growestel. And what was the other one? Polytimos. Are ones that are like way out there that hardly anybody's heard of before. So those are the ones that I'm looking at, although I'm primarily interested in Bitcoin Cash and Ethereum right now. I guess there's the whole NEO thing. I do think NEO is going to take a step up in market cap. I don't understand why Cardano was above NEO. Also think Ripple needs to be taken down a few notches. Can a crap coin be oversold? Well, I'll show you. There is so much transaction volume in Verge because they have new features like you can make a transaction private or not private. So they have a lot of features that are already exist in other coins or have even been tried in Bitcoin, but that's kind of like the combination of them that makes it unique. And so there's actually quite a bit of transactions going through on this coin, and yet the price has just been absolutely slaughtered. And so my price valuation model is reading in like the in tenths. That's why it looks like a flat line. If you actually could zoom in on it, you'd actually see that it is moving, but it's like in tenths. So this is the most dramatically oversold that I have ever seen a coin. Now that said, it has done this flatline thing before, although at higher levels. But yeah, so that's a good example. And then Zem here, again, just a huge plummet, and its transaction value to price ratio is the lowest that it's ever been in the history of the coin. So this, in my opinion, is the cheapest that this coin has ever been. ZEC is okay. It's in an okay spot. Okay. Litecoin, I'll just show you a Litecoin. Litecoin is in an okay place, but it's definitely not in as great of a place as it was before that huge pop. Yeah. So there's that one. Vertcoin. So here's one. It's kind of interesting because Vertcoin really hasn't, comparatively speaking, it hasn't been that great, has it? And you can see here that when you look at the transaction through the whole cell, it's actually been rising. So it seems to me like there's some whales that are really pushing Vertcoin, but people aren't actually using Vertcoin. Everybody in Vertcoin is just holding and waiting for a profit, and that's why it's not going anywhere. And then here again, the best chart is Bitcoin, right? Because here in Bitcoin, you can see how effective this indicator is at predicting tops and bottoms. Right now it's at 45, which is one of the lowest. I think it's printed 40 before down here, but it's some of the most oversold that Bitcoin has ever been. Master L's, so Verge is good then. Yeah, so I have like 150 Verge coins, I think. The interesting thing about Verge is that you can mine it with any algorithm that you want. And some of the algorithms are actually like very, very new algorithms. So you may actually be able to make a higher profit than the what to mine calculator will tell you in Verge. So give it a try. That's how I accumulated my Verge. Right now, oh, so this is the other one that I haven't mentioned is Garlic Coin. I've been doing nothing but mining Garlic Coin for the past, since it came out. I've dedicated my machine to that, and I think I'm at 77 Garlic Coins now, which I'm super happy about. I think Garlic Coin is overvalued considering how much money you can make mining it, but it is what it is, although maybe it came down. Look here. I like to use my Delta app on my phone here. There's like an easier way to look at it. Yeah, oh, so it actually did go down. Now it's 50 cents, so that's probably more fair. At one point it was like $2, and I'm like, no. Oh, Master L's is in XRP. Yeah, so I'm not able to show you XRP, unfortunately. I have something that is running, and I think I'll be able to start getting charts from that. I think I'm going to work on it tonight. And hopefully we can get charts from that next week, although I don't know how I'm going to provide like 50 charts a day to you guys, because I usually post this on my Patreon, right? So yeah. So I don't know where Ripple is at, but I feel like just when you look at the price action in Ripple, it very much looks like something that was being pumped and doesn't actually have the cojones to back it up. There's no NinjaTrader for OSX? Ooh. So what else can we do? You could do CR charts. I think multi-charts has it. A Mac is not necessarily the best. Could do a dual boot, maybe would be a suggestion. So anyways, so the question, Monstar, was, do you guys think we're going to go for a double bottom retest? I think that if we, well, so I'm just going to tell you my gut feeling first, and then we can do some analysis, right? So my gut feeling is that if we touch 8,000 again, that we're going to go through it. That's my gut feeling. I don't think that we would get a double bottom, but anything's possible. One thing is that if we look at this move up, oh, that's not what we want at all. Okay, so when you look at that move, and then, so why does that, and then you look at this move, they're not even close to the same size. So, what I would have expected was it to come back a little bit, and then another measured move of equal length. We didn't get that. We had one that was 1,000, and then we had one that was like 500-600. Really, this up move needs to go up to 9,500, I think, for me to really feel like that's like best case scenario, super confident, right? Now that said, we did have this bounce that was pretty significant. Excuse me. It was this one, and this has been a lot bigger. When else has this happened? Right here, So there was this thing, right? We hit a trend line, but then we came back down to here, volume wasn't so good, and that's when we started the real crusher. And that's something that could take a couple of weeks to play out. We've also been trading above the VWAP fairly consistently now through most of the session, and I think that that's probably going to continue through the weekend. So if we do go and touch 8,000 again, I think that it might be a while, and I think that they would probably go through it at that point. But we have to see. Today, we had a lot of, I mean, the transaction volume is increasing. So I'm going to say that we probably touched the low or were better. I mean, I still think that we buy at 8,000. So Litecoin doesn't have much use case with Bitcoin Cash and Lightning Network down the track. I would tend to agree. And the thing that I've noticed is that Litecoin is like way too cozy with Bitcoin Core for my comfort. And I feel like that Litecoin is being used to kind of distract people. So they pump up Litecoin so that they will go into Litecoin. And then when Litecoin, doesn't do so well, they'll flood back into Bitcoin. And I think that they're doing that so that people will stick with Bitcoin instead of going into Bitcoin Cash or Ethereum. I know that's like super conspiratorial, but that's kind of the way that I've looked at it. When Litecoin goes, where is it? Okay, so let me make this really big for you guys. Do you see this? You see how we hit a bottom here and it was pretty much going nowhere. And here's this flat area. And while we were in this flat area, we got this. Yeah? Isn't that interesting? So I think that the reason that this happens is because you had this spike here and now it's coming back down. And so the price is staying the same even though your average value is decreasing, right? And meanwhile, while we're down here, people are accumulating, and then what happens? You get like these things right here. Yeah? So what does that sound like to you? Because when I see that, I think pump. They're pumping it. They were pushing it before it even went, right? That's how I look at it. So, even with this one, it was kind of, this one actually was totally, a legit signal. But then, you know what? It took its measured move and then it come back down. It's just way too clean. Suspicious. Kind of looks like a pump to me. And you'll actually notice if we, so can we see some other examples? Ethereum did this once, right? You see it? It spiked before it actually took off. So I think that the beginning of the year when Ethereum really took off, that was a pump, but then afterwards Ethereum became a mature currency and it's sustained itself and it's developed a range. Although that range is significantly lower compared to other coins, right? Doge, you can see it very strongly in Doge too. Pumps, and then what happens? Takes off. The blue line is a price value ratio. So basically what we're doing is we're looking at the average transaction value over a certain time period compared to how many coins there are out there, and a little bit of complicated averaging math along those lines. And I don't want to give away the whole secret to it, but so we're basically comparing the amount of transactions in the currency to what the price is. Make sense? Ashley Madison. So you can see, especially here in Doge, it's extremely suspicious, where it's like price is just kind of fading, and what is the blue line doing? Whoosh. And every time that I've seen this, there was a big pump up afterwards. So I think that what's happening is accumulation there. Yeah, essentially it's like a weighted average based on transaction size. It's not like number of transactions, it's actually like the transaction valued in dollars. Okay, well, this has just been super quiet at 25, so it stopped us out, and then it hasn't really gone anywhere since then, has it? I think that these could still like fade later in the day. Well, I'm super disappointed. Where does that put us on the month? Well, I guess it's the end of the month, but I have to be honest with you guys, I've been going through a little bit of a drawdown. Okay, so if we just look at January, well, January to today. Yeah, okay. So we pretty much gave up everything that we made in January, but we're still pretty much where we were at the end of December. So if I come back, I'll show you December to now. Right, we still made like $500 in December that we're about up on. So I think that was my first really significant drawdown, and we're still okay after 2 months. That's okay. I think that I need to be a little bit more risk adverse. I think I need to okay, we need to get my win percentage back up to 50. So when we were doing well, it was like 52%. So we'll look at that. I think I still have a lot to learn here on trading the treasuries. The cool thing about the Bitcoin one, though, is that you don't have to trust me. You can just look at the indicator and decide if you think that the indicator has a historical probability and whether or not you believe in it or not. And then, use everything else you know about cryptocurrencies to work with it. So, whereas Treasury futures, it's very discretionary, and sometimes I'm just like really on and killing it, and sometimes I'm not. This week, I really should have been killing it, and I didn't. Man, it was just a bad week for me. I, was messing. I tried that medication for my inflammation, and that was a disaster. So now I'm blabbering on about what, how awful I'm doing, but that's where we're at. Yeah. It happened. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing, is I think it's really important for me to document and be honest about when I'm doing poorly, so that people don't go out there and assume, oh, well, good traders are basically just profitable all the time. No. DJIA 317. I don't know what that means. Okay, well, 260 is now the point of control. All right, well, it is now 9:27. Today, I'm going to see if I can't get my ticker working with, what do I have to do? I have to webify it, but I've made a ticker that I think I can use to aggregate like all of the exchanges together, and you can filter on it, I hope, in JavaScript. I don't know this. I'm new at JavaScript, so that's what I'll work on today. I don't think we see anything too terribly odd in the futures. I will point out here, Bitcoin has moved up and the futures are flat. I think that says to me that they're skipping Friday. That's what I think it means. We'll see. But anyways, hope you guys have a good weekend. I will see you on Monday.